It's episode 4 of Beyond the Skybox, an after-hours show about games and nerd culture. I am your host and SkyboxCritics.com editor-at-large, Brian Barnett. And who goes next?
I guess I'll go next. I was expecting Lucas, honestly, because Lucas go next. We'll keep the old order. I'll go last.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna do it right this time. It's me. It's the M and G E.
There we go. Yes, brought it back.
That's saucy. We love to see it.
Although, did you say your name?
I think so. If not, oh well. Will said it for me.
Yeah, that's true. I did. All right. Yo, everybody. I am Skybox's editor-in-chief, Wilberger. What's going on this fine Monday night?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
It is
your goodness?
First episode since the first one that the three of us have done.
Yeah, it's the whole gang
true.
actually back here doing the thing that we're supposed to be doing.
That is true. That is true. And it's the first time that we're streaming this on Twitch. So hello.
And
hello, everyone.
We're making changes to the Patreon, baby.
We're making changes
we
to
might
serve
be making
you
changes.
better.
Have we confirmed this? I don't know if we've...
I guess we're confirming it.
I mean, we haven't officially confirmed this, but I think it's what's happening. I think it puts our best foot forward, and I think it gets people the most bang for their buck right out the gate.
You can tell this is a very professional show run by professionals.
It is
a professional website, skyboxcritics.com.
Yes.
Brian, as our editor at large and the man who leads the charge on, all things audio and video related, would you like to tell the good people what the changes to the Patreon?
So we're making some changes after we published the first episode of Beyond, there were some Patreon backers who were saying, "Hey, you should make this episode available to the public." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. This one has a bunch of stuff about the history of the site, all of our involvement, how we got together, how it came to be, and it was really good information for everybody to have." And then as the weeks went on, it kind of felt the same way, but for different reasons for Beyond. It felt like this is where we do a lot of our highlighting of games, and we're not always writing about them. I don't always have time to write about them because I'm editing and publishing podcasts and recording them and like all that other stuff. So there is stuff that either would have to wait to make it into my column or somebody else to pick it up or something like that. And one of the biggest things that we wanted to do with Skybox is to highlight awesome games and to put people on to some hot shit. And we do a lot of that in this show. And so having that locked behind a paywall kind of felt a little backwards to me, since it's like our main, or at least my main mission. So I wanted to do that. So we are gonna switch things up. So the behind the scenes, like writer interview podcast, going more in depth with the pieces that we've already written, is going to be switching with Beyond. So Into is going to go into the Patreon tier where Beyond is now, and Beyond is going to be free for everybody.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
So yeah. And that means that we're going to be streaming, which means if you want to interact with us, you can do it live.
Yeah, you can. We will do it live. And it means that you guys get to enjoy the ludicrousness of some of the responses and some of the stuff live as well. Like when we get a new Murph question, like the one that I'm going to be reading this week that I didn't do on the previous episodes because not all of us were here. Give us the Murph question. Should we start with the Murph question? Let's do a little Q&A.
Let's do it.
And then
let's do it. So
shout outs to Murph.
Yeah. As some of you may be aware, if you are in our Discord, you can ask us questions in our question submission channel in our Discord. You can definitely, and you should do that, by the way. Head over to patreon.com/skyboxcritics. You can back even at the $5 level. You'll get into the Discord. You'll be able to interact with all of the writers. You'll be able to submit, different. You'll be able to talk to us, submit questions, all this sort of stuff. Although submitting questions to this show might be at a higher tier than the $5, but we'll get into that later. It's not a big deal. So
we'll figure it out.
Here's a question from Murph04, who's been hitting us with some classics.
Thank you, Murph, for keeping this train on the tracks.
Yes. Who is the largest of the Skybox editors, and why have they not eaten the other ones? So this is a tricky one. There's one clear answer of who's not the biggest, but I'm not sure how we would answer the question of who is. I think Lucas is the tallest.
Probably.
But Lucas is also a skinny boy. So
Very
I
true.
might actually be the biggest.
By averaging.
I don't know. Actually, well, how do you... Okay, Will, how tall are you? If you want the people to know.
I'm short. It's okay. Everybody who's ever met me at a trade show knows I'm 5'4". I'm not very tall.
5'4". And how much do you weigh?
A good question. I don't know the answer. I think about 155 pounds.
Okay. Lucas, how tall are you?
5'11".
5'11". Oh, wow. You're not as much taller than me as I thought. I'm 5'10". Okay. And how much do you weigh?
I think
If
I
you
kinda
don't mind me asking.
oscillate- Oh no, it's fine. I think I kind of oscillate between 130 and 140, depending.
Holy Jesus, dude.
You're very thin.
Lucas's goals. I am definitely the biggest then. Because I'm 5'10", and I'm like, I just came off of being 191. So I'm back down into the 180s, and I'm like working out and doing all this sort of stuff, but I am definitely a larger fellow. Why have I not eaten Lucas and Will? It's because I love them very much. That's why.
Also,
we're not traveling through the Rockies.
yeah. And while Brian does yap a lot, his mouth not actually that big, kind of small. He would have to eat us a bite at a time, which, that
That's
might
true.
defend his delicate constitution. Anyway, Murph with the killer questions.
I love it.
We're here to talk about other things beyond Murph questions, though.
We are.
Some say we were about to go beyond the Skybox.
We are indeed. In fact, we're going to go so far beyond. We're going to be talking about some trade shows.
Trade shows.
I will throw it to you guys. Where do you want to start?
At the beginning, and when we come to the end, stop.
That's a fantastic plan. I love it. Keep it simple, elegant. I like it. So that would be PAX first.
I think that would be PAX first. Also, I'm fairly certain that Lucas did not attend SGF.
Okay.
That's a correct assumption to make.
Okay.
So
But I covered it.
we're
So then
gonna-
I can pitch in on a little bit of that.
Yes.
Okay. So we're going back to May. I almost said March because it was March before. Then they changed it to May.
And now they've changed it again.
Yeah, realized May was a bad idea and then went back to March for next year, I think.
I would like places to consistently, listen, pick your spot for your trade show and don't move it. Please.
Yeah.
People need to make plans.
Also,
And
don't put
don't-
your trade show or your event on the same week as Evo. Please. Please.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
like
because Will
real
want to
holidays
go to
like
it, but he
Mother's
can't
Day.
go to
That
it because
was
he's got to go to
kind of
Evo.
Yeah, it is like, if you would like Will Berger to cover something for you, please do not put it around Evo. Because when they announce when the next Evo is, I buy tickets for the next Evo. So
Yeah.
PAX though. PAX was in
Yeah.
May.
Mm-hmm.
PAX was pretty good this year, I thought.
Yeah. So I've been to PAX, I guess 3 times now. And the first time I went, it was right after things started kind of opening back up after COVID lockdowns.
The Rona.
Yeah. And the narrative there was kind of like, oh, it's a little smaller because big publishers aren't showing up, and it's kind of weird and not super populated, yada yada yada. And from there, it kind of seemed to stay that way insofar as like the big publishers not really having big old presences at PAX East. Like I guess Nintendo and Square Enix were there before, and then they kind of backed off. And I don't know.
Square was there. Square was there. They just weren't on the floor.
Right. I'm specifically talking about the show floor. I don't know. I didn't really have anything different to compare it to. So it was like Bandai Namco was there with some stuff. But it did primarily seem to be kind of like indie heavy, but with kind of a delineation between like, here's the really small indies, here's like the medium indies, and then here's like Devolver Digital with their big massive thing, and then kind of a bunch of stuff in between. So I don't know, it's interesting, but like what Will's getting at is a lot of people adjacent to us were saying like, man, it feels really small this year, like there's not a lot of stuff, and meanwhile me and Will are just running around just playing tons of video games the whole time.
By my count, upwards of 40. I don't have the exact number.
Yeah.
Was it less or more frantic and chaotic than the last time, Will, that you and I were in? I'm gonna say Seattle because that 2-building thing was insane.
It was not as chaotic as Seattle.
Okay.
Which they have not repeated. Thank you, PAX organizers, for realizing that we would like to not be running from building to building every 10 seconds. We're doing enough running.
Yeah.
So we did see some, but you know, it is primarily a show where you go find indies, and I think what's really cool is that you have so many indies from like, you know, like Lucas said, like the big guys like Devolver, kind of the more niche stuff like Dread XP, which, you know, if you're a sicko, you know who Dread XP is, but if you're not a sicko, you don't really know who Dread XP is, right? In the same way, like, yeah, Usebrid. Although I feel like Usebrid is going to have their breakout year this year, I think.
Yeah.
As far as like people know who they are, and you should know who Usebrid is.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of really cool. I mean, Lucas, one of the most fun things that I remember was like we played these student games. Yeah. Right. Like we set down this little like arcade cabinet, and they had like
arcade cabinet. Yeah.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 games there that we just played, and it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 40 games on my list of stuff from PAX.
We're going to talk about all 40. Buckle up, kids.
No, I don't think we have enough time. But like, I don't know, man. Tell me about like the first cool game that comes into your head, and we can go from there.
So one thing I think I've come to associate with PAX is a new publisher that has really just been grabbing my attention. That's Critical Reflex. They've grabbed my attention so much, I wrote an article about them for Life Bar. Shoutouts to Jarrett, despite the horror he unleashed upon this podcast before.
That is true.
Yeah, that's facts.
It was a rather girthy horror, if I recall.
Yeah, it sure was. But
as it should be, right? You know, if you're making the choice, you choose girth.
Yep.
I regret saying anything.
You should.
Oh, I was going to go there if you weren't, so it's fine.
God damn.
It's fine.
Anyways, so last PAX, Critical Reflex caught my attention, and that was apparently the first time they were there because they're like super new. They had a really freaky sicko game. This year, that game wasn't there, but they had a lot of other interesting games, and one of them was like getting a lot of attention because it was about a tanuki that likes to do BMX tricks when he's supposed to be delivering the mail. And
oh, hell yeah!
Yes.
But they had a lot of other weird stuff, and they just have this really interesting like mix of like we have these cool weirdo games, but we're also like trying to do a lot of curation, and we're also making like our like presence a part of it. Just in the way they're branding and stuff. So it's like they have this really bright pink kind of bloody letter logo thing going on, and they have it posted all over their stuff. And they are the publishers of games like Mouthwashing, which obviously was a big deal last year. Buckshot Roulette.
The 2024 Game of the Year, some say.
Some say.
Yeah.
Some say.
But, and I don't have my stuff pulled up, so forgive me. They had so many interesting games.
I could talk about one of their games. If you need a minute to get your stuff pulled up.
Yeah, you can take over while I play.
So, one of the games, so I was not covering Critical Reflex for anybody because Lucas was on top of pitching everything, and I did not get any Critical Reflex coverage. But one of the games that I did, we were walking around a lot, Lucas and me, just kind of like when we had a spare moment, we were both on the floor, and it's like, what are you doing? Like, we'd basically text each other and be like, okay, you want to go over here? And so we'd meet up and we'd go see stuff. And I went to Critical Reflex early so I could do some other stuff later in the day. I had an appointment. And we played Altered Alma. Altered Alma? Alma? Do you know how they pronounce it?
No idea.
Okay. That game is for degenerates. Congratulatory. I think it was really funny because the first time we were playing it on a Steam Deck, basically. And,
it was a ROG.
Yeah, and it was a little laggy. And Altered Alma is this really gorgeous, stunningly beautiful pixel art game. And it's an action side scroller. And I remember playing it and being like, this doesn't feel good. No. And which is not something because you're looking at it like, man, like this looks good. It has really cool music, like the aesthetic choices beyond just being like gorgeously pixel art. Like it's kind of cyberpunky. We're like, oh, this looks really cool. Like I'm into this, but it doesn't feel good. And then we went to another station. Just I think by sheer random happenstance, we got moved, and then it felt really good because we weren't on a ROG anymore. And it was like,
oh, it's on a real machine now.
It's on a real machine. It's not the game. It's the hardware. And if you've never been to a trade show, I think one of the things that people might be interested in is that there's a lot of technical issues at trade shows, right? Like systems overheat and games crash. And I found a bug every time I go to PAX. I find a bug for somebody. But it is a very cool game, and the action feels amazing. And you have like these really neat combos that you can do, and you can kind of zoom around on a grappling hook, and it actually is like a game where the parry feels good.
Let me ask the $1,000 Will Burger question. Yeah. Does it have aerial raves?
I don't think it. No, it does not.
Okay.
It's like a jumping upward slash that you can use. That's about it.
Yeah, but I will say that the jumping upward slash feels really good because you can either cancel into it or out of it. I think it's into it. I think you can do like a normal attack and then jump cancel it. So it has like really cool like cancel windows and stuff that allows you to do very neat things where it's like, oh, I see. Yeah. The world has opened. My mind has expanded. Allow me to hit you with something really nasty. Which, I think for anybody who knows this at this point, like, oh, Will likes like sicko action games. Yeah. But I think it felt really cool. And I think it also has this really gory, but again, very stunningly executed like executions that you can do to like the enemies on the screen. If you time your parry for certain attacks. Or no, it's a dodge, right? You dodge through certain attacks, and then
you said grappling hook, but so I was just playing this demo earlier because I'm still writing these up. So you get this dagger and you can throw it, and it's like a teleport.
That's it. Yes, it's the dagger. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you think at first it's going to be kind of like Celeste, where it's like, oh, I get the little double jump and I can kind of manipulate it, but it's like, no, you can just throw this thing as many times as you want, and as long as it latches onto a surface, it yeets you over, and then you can just use it again. But it's also like this like finishing counter thing where you have to be careful when you use it because you can get slapped when you're trying to, but if you nail it, it does something sick, right? So your enemies are like kind of cyborg robot-y things, and so you'll just like rip this fool's rib cage out, and it's not gonna, give the game an M rating, I guess, because it's just a robot pieces. So it's like it's really cool and intricate, and yeah.
Yeah.
The vibe I got from the visuals, it's almost like a Mega Man Zero, or what's the NT Creates one that they put a lot out of. That I'm suddenly
Azure Striker Gunvolt.
Yeah, Gunvolt meets like Blade Runner 2049, because like in the background there's always just these massive holograms. There's like a ballerina that's like pink, and it's just in the background kind of twirling around. And the demo ends in this boss fight. And
Boss fight is so sick.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, oh, it's one-on-one with someone that's like similar to you, right? So it's like they're the same kind of size and they've got similar abilities. Then there's a like holographic bust of Salvador Dali in the background. And then it starts like shooting laser beams out of its eyes and stuff at you while you're trying to deal with the boss. It's really sick.
Incredible.
Yeah. And then when you win, like the hologram like crumbles in the background, and it's just like it's got super ambitious spectacle to it, despite being like pixel art. That's really cool.
And there's this really like crazy sequence at the end of the fight where like the characters are like doing this very intricate like fight choreography basically. There's no cuts away. It's not like in a cutscene or anything. It's all with the the in-game art, and it looks amazing. And Lucas beat that fight I think on the third try, and I think it took me like 2, maybe 3. But what I found out was that because I was Lucas was playing smarter, and I was like, can I parry this? Can I parry this? Can I parry this? And it turns out like she has this kind of a whip attack that she hits your character with, and I figured out I could parry the whip and parry her charges, and I was like, oh, okay. But I think that game is very cool and really gorgeous, and like does some really interesting things with just kind of the way it looks and feels, and the way it kind of feels to move, and it's challenging. Even like the basic enemies, like can and will kill you if your parries are not on point, and if you're like just running into stuff, if you're not like spacing yourself out in like thoughtful ways. And I really appreciated. Low key was one of my favorite games of the show.
Oh yeah,
nice. That was Altered Alma.
Yes.
Yeah. The other game from Critical Reflex I really liked, and there were several, but just for the sake of time, I'll just keep it this. But it's called Gimmiko. And that's gimmick without the C, with an O at the end. So Gimmiko. And it's one of those Vampire Survivors-y type games, right? There's a million of these. And it turns out that's just a really nice basic formula for a fun video game, I guess. But this one has almost like WarioWare kind of energy to the way it looks and the way it's animated. Like a lot of squiggly lines and the jittery, silly looking characters. And there's a middle finger button that doesn't do anything, but just your character stops and flips the screen off. It's very silly. But kind of the gimmick is that you don't just have your attacks or whatever, but you have a die and you're rolling dice. And if you're not rolling the dice, you're not attacking. And you purchase or acquire, and they're just called gimmicks in the game, and you slap those onto like the number sides of the die you have. And so you have to be rolling your dice, and you can get more in order to do things. So it's not just a matter of running around and letting your attacks go off. It's like you got to get in there and pick your die back up after you throw it in order to attack. And the die itself will do damage when you hit something with it. And you have a jump. You don't usually jump in these games. So it's very active. It's very like, oh god, I have to be aware of like where the enemies are, where I'm standing, where my dice are. I have to go in and retrieve it, which can be really scary. So just a very, very active, very frantic one of those. It's also very silly and a little crass, but not like crass in like the Devolver way, where it's like, shit and drugs everywhere. Just kind of like people are making funny faces and flipping you off. I appreciate that. It's a sweet spot for me. So yeah, that game is really neat. A lot of the stuff you can play demos on Steam at this point, so check those out. Critical Reflex is a really interesting publisher, and they're the highlight of my PAX for sure.
Did you get Will to play Freaked Flea Pit, or did they not have that there?
They did not have it. I was really sad. I even asked the guy. I was like, "Where's Freaked Flea Pit?" And he was like, "We're working on it, but not here."
See, I don't even know what that is. So like I would have played it if Lucas had been like, "Well, you should play this." But I have no idea what that is.
It would have. You would have had your horny bat and just been smacking everyone. This would have been a time that was rife for accusations of gooning.
Gooner Nirvana is what you're saying.
I don't fully agree with that, but I understand.
I mean, I don't agree with it either, but it leans into the bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we always do that.
I also really like Drowned Lake over at Critical Reflex and Tanuki Pond, which we talked about briefly, but I just wanted to shout those games out because I think they were cool. Drowned Lake is kind of like a adventure game, visual novel kind of deal. And I played it for about 15 minutes, and I could have played longer, but I got to the point where I was like, all right, I see what this is doing. I don't want to see any more of it. Which is one of those things I think is really great, is you get to like something on a trade show and you're like, I have seen enough. Positive, right? Yeah. Where I don't need to see anymore. I just like, cool, you've sold me, we're done. Let's
give me the game when it's ready.
Just give me the game. Yeah. I will say, I think one of the cool things that we also saw, I'm sorry, I have people are like, why is he looking at his phone? It's where my notes are. Because when you're at PAX, you know, you're just literally trying to remember, you know, if you're me, you saw like 45 games. And you're just trying to remember what everything is, you know, in a month. I want to shout out Dread XP. I know we talked about Dread XP a little bit, but some of the cool stuff I thought Dread XP did really neat things. One of my favorite ones was Vile. Lucas, did you play Vile?
Was that the Hotline Miami one, or is that something different?
No, that was Pigface. Okay, Vile was the one where you're on the computer. Okay, so you didn't play this one. Okay. So Vile is a game where you are going through a computer and you're trying to kind of track down what happened to this adult film actress who also worked in like horror. And you don't really know much. You're just kind of in this computer, right? And it's like, you can access this dude's emails. You can see like the websites that he's visited. You know, you can see like files on the computer, and you're kind of having to go through and figure out like, oh, I need the password for, you know, this thing. What is it? Right. And if you are looking at this on Steam right now, the game that you were gonna see come up first is not, because there is another game called Vile on there. It is not that game.
Vile Exhumed, right? I was looking it up for this exact reason, and I found it on itch, and it says, I'm so excited to announce that Dread XP is now publishing Vile Exhumed. Previously called Vile Director's Cut.
Oh, I guess they changed the name because it was just Vile at the time. That's cool.
But Vile Exhumed will launch on Steam soon this year. Okay, cool.
So you're going through just kind of these emails and these web, you know, these web forums, like old, right? Like, you know, mid 90s kind of computer, Windows 95 kind of stuff, and trying to figure out like what happened to this woman. And it is, you know, you're seeing like video clips, you're reading emails, like you're finding all this stuff and you're kind of hunting for it. Like, okay, like I know this password is based on this dude's cat's name. Let me go find the vet records that this guy has for his cat and then use that to figure out what the password is, right? And so it's very like basic puzzle solving, but while you're doing it, and because it's very like kind of freeform in the way that you approach a lot of it, you're like, this is what I know, this is what I don't know. You're kind of putting together this story of what happened in your head, and you're constantly having to revise it based on what you find in the game. And I I got to the end of it and it hit me in terms of like, man, that's effective. That's really good writing. And it's a solo project. I think it's really cool. It was one of those games that stuck with me after the show, not just for its subject matter, but like kind of the fearlessness with which it tackles its subject matter, and the way that it kind of makes the viewer, I guess the player, kind of complicit in what is going on while you play, and you kind of having to, forces you to look at what's happening, and some of it's really, really uncomfortable. So Vile Exhumed, I think, was one of the coolest things there in Dread XP, and not the kind of game that I think people are going to give a lot of love to because it doesn't have a lot of like traditional gameplay, and it's not even like a walking simulator. You're literally clicking through menus, but really excellent. And the other big one at Dread XP that Lucas also played was Pigface. Pigface rules. Pigface is I kind of described it as like 3D Hotline Miami, but the better description probably takes Manhunt into account, in which you are like a hitman, wears a pig mask, and you're given a job, and you can like pick your weapons and your loadout. You've got like a machine gun, a sledgehammer, and shotgun. You have money, and you can buy what you want, and then you get sent to. In my case, it was a farm. Basically, it was like kill everybody there. And which makes it sound like kind of deranged, and it is kind of deranged, right? But like Hotline Miami is really good, and Hotline Miami is really neat, and it kind of has that vibe. Lucas, can you want to talk about this? What'd you think of Pigface?
Yeah, I'm kind of in a not really sure if I enjoyed this as much as everyone else did situation. But I think that's mostly just because like I don't like guns that much. This is a very like go in and shoot people game. It's very grungy. But I think the Hotline Miami thing is pretty apt. Because you kind of go in this enclosed space and there's people hiding in nooks and crannies and they will take you down very quickly. And it's like you have to find dirty looking syringes of painkillers to like heal yourself. And a lot of the people you're fighting, they seem kind of like I don't know how to put it in a fun way, but there's like drugs and stuff everywhere, and you're kind of going through a very dilapidated like barn building. So I think it's one of those things where it's like this is just an inherently uncomfortable situation, and the motivations of everyone involved are very unclear, and you're like made hyper aware of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, this is all probably going to break bad in a really nasty way that makes you feel bad for holding the controller, maybe. But yeah, and it's kind of got this like gamified stuff where it's like you get your money and then you can kind of like play with your loadout in the beginning. But yeah, just a very like you need to go in, you need to be careful, but you also need to be fast because if you make a mistake or you miss something, you will be starting over. Yeah, Dread XP, so very, very grungy and dark.
Yes, and grungy is a great word for it. Like it's one of those games where, in the same way that like Hotline Miami is, like it's dirty, right? Like it's dirty, like it's grimy,
it's gross. Yeah,
While you're playing it, and like I'm saying all this, and then people are listening to me like that sounds awful. And it's like no, this is cool actually.
Because visually, so I'm looking at the like the trailer on Steam. Visually, it like the style of the weapons and the way that your hands look and the way that the first person perspective is done reminds me a lot of 007, like of GoldenEye, and also of like
lo-fi 3D.
Like
it is
like
very like PS1 era kind of game,
and like a bit of like the vibe of like Fear or like Counter-Strike in some ways. It feels like kind of an amalgamation of a lot of these like interesting things with like a super fucked up like, oh, I'm gonna go through the house and massacre everyone.
Yeah, I think it's like one of the reasons Hotline Miami is an interesting game to me is part of it is like the story of that game, especially if you like really dig into it, like really digs it deep into like the you just because you enjoy all the killing, right? Maybe you should think about that. But also like doing the killing feels good.
Yeah.
Right. Which is one of those things that like, you know, Kojima's games have talked about this and like, you know, you enjoy all the killing. That's why we're doing this. You think it feels good, right? Like Spec Ops has talked about this. BioShock has talked, like tons of games have used this as like a kind of a brushing off point to tell a story about like player agency and like, you know, player agency that starts when you put the disc into your system, right? Or when you press play on your Steam account. And I think that that's a really interesting thing. And I think Pigface is probably going to do something in that vein. But I do really like this idea of like, man, like you're playing it and it feels good, but you're also like, man, this feels grimy and gross, and I probably shouldn't be enjoying myself, and I am anyway. Which is like a really interesting thing to me about violence in games and just the way that the games like communicate stuff through play. Because
It
I
also
think,
seems. Oh, sorry.
oh no, I was gonna say a lot of games I think like just kind of want you to not think about it and just have fun doing the killing, and Pigface definitely does not seem like it's like that way.
Yeah, I also kind of got a vibe of like not just like complacency, but it seems like it's kind of setting you up to be a victim too, in a way. It seems like it's making deliberate nods to suggest like you're not really in control of what's happening either, because you kind of get like tossed in a van, and like your living quarters are really nasty. There's just like a lot of stuff to suggest that like something is also being done to you as well, instead of just being like, oh, don't you feel bad for participating in this? It's got like an extra layer of like you know, coercion or something going on as well.
Yeah.
Lucas, you can pick the next thing that we talk about. I only have a couple more. I assume some of these are going to come up in later episodes, but I do want to also be able to talk about SGF, and I know we have a time limit. So,
yeah. So another one that really stood out to me that I played on the floor was called Nocturne.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this one up.
Yeah,
that game is cool.
Nocturne is a old school Super Nintendo Chrono Trigger looking RPG game, but combat is a music rhythm game. And this is not the only one of those that's kind of floating around. So it's not like a unique genre mix, but it's one that really spoke to me for two reasons. One, I played Rift of the Necrodancer earlier this year, and that was neat. I was kind of like, what if Guitar Hero had like RPG vibes? But what was missing that for me was like, man, I wish like it was kind of the other way around, where it was like an RPG but with Guitar Hero. And this is kind of that, but also something I actually published my preview on Czech News just yesterday or Friday or something, but it's less Guitar Hero and more like one of my secret favorite rhythm games called DJ Max. I'm not like a huge rhythm game sicko, but I do enjoy them and I do like trying them. And DJ Max I discovered it on the PSP back in the day, but it's been around longer than that. But it's like kind of a sweet spot between like a Guitar Hero and something really hardcore, like your Guitar Freaks or your Bimani stuff that's like impossible to play if you're not ready to only do that for the rest of your life. Just like a good sense of speed, like a reasonably complicated but not too crazy note charts, just kind of like a really good feeling one of those. And so it's got this kind of like melancholic setup for the story where you're like in this digitized afterlife and you're like looking for your brother. There's not much to it. The demo is really short. And combat shows up and it's like a you versus the enemy one-on-one. You're playing DJ Max basically. But the twist is it's not just about doing well in the music game. You have to attack independently. So when you're playing the rhythm game, you're building up AP and you get 1, 2, or 3 stacks, and then you can kind of choose to attack. And it's like the more meter you build up, the more damage. Or you can wait until the enemy goes to attack, and the note chart will light up, and you can, if you attack then, you get an automatic crit for doing a counter. So it's kind of this interesting mix of like playing the song and making sure you're doing well there, paying attention to your meter, and also kind of like deciding when to use it and paying attention to what your enemy's doing. And on top of that, like the battle will also just end when the song is over. So you can just kind of like survive long enough and you'll get through anyways and you get your EXP and stuff, but then it'll grade you like a normal rhythm game. So it's just kind of like all these little pieces you have to kind of think about. Plus it's just like a really well executed rhythm game with cool music. So the demo was just barely like a couple of battles and a little bit of gameplay, and I was just like, oh my god, I want more of this. Yeah, it was just like pitch perfect for something I'd be interested in.
That game beat my ass. I got stuck in the tutorial for a solid 5 minutes because they're like, oh, you can play on a keyboard. I was like, do you have a controller, please? And even the controller, because the way the controls are set up, you can rebind them, of course. But I was sitting here like, why am I pressing right on the D-pad to do the notes? What is happening? But yeah, it's a very cool game and is a neat art style and kind of like a neat conceit in terms of like why you're doing the stuff that you're doing. You know, the moral framework in which you operate, which is one of the fun things I like to talk about when I talk about games. But yeah, I thought Nocturne was really cool. And also like kind of just in a random place on the floor, right? It was on the
one of those multi-section table things where I think like they had multiple publishers having to share those, which like, man, I feel good job dealing with that for a whole weekend.
No kidding. The other thing, and we've talked about a lot of this stuff, I think, in other ways. We talked about Dragon Quest. You know, you can read about that on the website. Lucas and I wrote back and forth to each other in a way that I thought was really fun. Low key, one of the ones that I really liked was MotionRec over at I think this PlaySim.
Oh, Playism.
Yeah, Playism. Sorry, I can never remember if it's PlaySim or Playism.
Sorry, I got you.
Yeah,
love that publisher.
Yeah, they're great. And one of the cool things about that game is it's kind of like a puzzle game. Where it is MotionRec. It's coming out. Yep, it's Playism. And it's coming out this year, allegedly. It don't have a release date yet. But the cool thing about MotionRec is you can, when you do something in MotionRec, you can record it. So if you like walk forward and then jump, you can record that, right? And then you can be like, oh, I'm at a puzzle where I have to, like, I need to get over here, but there's no way to get there. So you can go stand on like the edge of the platform you're on and play back the recording. So your character will walk across the air, because that's what they did, and then go up, and now you've reached the next area, right? So it's about finding the right set of motions that you can record that'll get you to the next place. And it's really fascinating. Like, it's a very clever little puzzle game. Because you're thinking about like, man, how do I get, you know, because as you go on, like, it gets harder, right? Because sometimes it's like, all right, you got to do like this. You're like, how do I record that? Where do I stand that I can record that, right? And then, so, because you have to record it in the level, you can't just, you know, you have to find a place where it'll let you do that. If it's, you know, if you have to record yourself jumping up and then walking across a higher plane, you actually have to have a higher plane to jump up to.
This looks sick.
Yeah, right? Like, it's very difficult to describe, but once you see it, it immediately makes sense. And the playback function is really intuitive, and you can always see like what you're doing. So like one of the cool things that I really love is like if you get on an elevator and you record it, you're like, well, your character just went up, right? So like the next time you need to get up to a really high place, you can be like zoop, because you've recorded that happened to your character, and it'll recreate it whether or not you have ground to stand on. And it's a really, really fascinating game. It's one of those games where I didn't know what to make of it when I sat down, and then I played it and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, this is so clever. Really, really highly recommend.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's like I said, I think it's very difficult to explain, but once you see it, like, you're gonna get it immediately, right? Like, Brian, I'm assuming you're watching this trailer and you're like, oh, I understand, right?
Yeah.
Like,
it's one of those games like The Swapper or like Baba Is You, where like this is gonna change the way that I like look at things for a while, probably. Or like just like it's like, oh, this is a unique thing that like I've never seen anybody do before. But
yeah, and I hope I'm describing it well, but functionally your job is to record a set of movements. And then when you play them back, your character will do that even if they, they don't have ground to stand on and they can't jump from where they are. It'll just happen, right? So if you do this, like the character will just recreate that. So that can get you to the next place. You can do like as a circle where your character will go in a circle. Maybe that's how you need to get to the higher place. Or, you've got like a squiggly like this or whatever it is. And the trick of the game is figuring out like the motion you need to get to the next place and then figuring out where you can record it.
Yeah, if you go up like a long escalator and you record that, and then you get to a point where there's like a giant cliff that you can't get up, as long as there's room for you to back up, you can just play that recording and it'll be like you're on an escalator up to the top, even though there isn't one.
Yep. And it's really fascinating. I thought Playism had some really great stuff at the show. I also really liked weirdly, because it was not at all something Glaciered, which I think Lucas has written about, which I think is really cool. And also Skateboard Knight, which was one of those games where like you think about it like that doesn't seem that neat. But then you play it and you're like, wait a minute, they might be cooking. So Skateboard Knight is kind of this, I guess it's technically like a roguelike, which, if there is a demo on Steam that you can just go play now if it sounds interesting to you. But basically what it is you're a knight on a skateboard and there's these lanes and you are constantly moving forward and you are attacking. And this is happening independently of you. You can basically your only gameplay choice is to change lanes. And your goal is to kill the enemies in front of you and to dodge projectiles. And in doing that, you gain money and abilities, better attacks, that kind of stuff, health, whatever. And you keep going, and your goal is to just kind of build this little skateboard knight who can travel between these lanes and deal with all that stuff. And so it becomes this very like clever game of like, all right, well, there's a bunch of enemies here. How do I clear them, or do I go to another lane? Right? Do I miss out on all this potential stuff that I would get for clearing these enemies, especially since I only have like maybe a very basic attack that's only going to hit 2 enemies, and it's going to take me a while to swing it because again, you don't control any of that. All you control is kind of vertical movement, and the rest of it happens without you. And it's very, very clever for a game that really doesn't have you making a lot of like decisions in terms of like pressing buttons. Like really, you just do this, you move up and down, and you pick what you're going to get for your upgrade. But a Skateboard Knight I thought was really, really neat and very cool art style. And the princess that you're serving kind of rides along with you and throws you items and helps you out. And it's just really neat little game. It's very charming. So definitely a game that I think people should check out because I don't think a lot of people saw Skateboard Knight, but very cool game.
Also,
and there's a demo on Steam.
Yeah, there is. And I'm going to download it because this is one of the things I was talking about in the Discord. Come join it and come join us. Patreon.com/SkyboxCritics at the $5 level. Games, the best games that you can play while cradling a newborn. There you go.
Yeah.
Because if you only need to move up and down, that's going to be easy.
Yeah, you move up and down and select your upgrades. That's it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Lucas, I think we have one more game that we have to talk about because it was kind of a Skybox bit for a little bit. Obviously, like we saw a lot of great stuff. We saw Fatal Run 2089. We saw Pizza Bandit, which you guys have seen us play, ideally live. We'll probably play more of again once they do their next beta. But there's one game that became kind of a bit on the internet for us, and I think we should talk about the bit.
Hell yeah.
Lucas knows what I'm talking about, I think. I hope. Don't make me spell it out.
You might have to spell it out.
A bit that we were doing on social media.
We were doing a social media bit where we
God.
put this game over other games.
I'm an idiot. Okay. No, I know exactly what you're talking about now. All right. So, I was in my hotel room with my roommates, and one of them was like, yo, you got to find the booth with the CRTs and play Desktop Survivors. I already mentioned liking those little survivory games. Just great for the dopamine. I love CRTs. Man, I love CRTs.
Oh, beautiful.
Also great for the dopamine.
you put a good CRT filter in a video game, and you'll be my favorite developer of that moment. So Will and I went to this booth, check it out, and it is decorated like a Windows 98 desktop.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah, baby.
bright green grass, bright blue space, clouds, the whole thing. This game is called Desktop Survivors 98, and it is a survivor style game. We'll call it Bullet Heaven. I think that's kind of what people are landing on.
Yeah.
Everything is based on the UI of an old Windows OS.
Mm-hmm. Clippy. There's a Clippy.
Yeah. Clippy, although he's a sword in this instead of a paperclip. And you play as your mouse cursor. And you collect power-ups that are based on different functions of like the Windows 98 experience. Some of them are a little more complicated, some of them are more conceptual. There's like Firewall. One I experienced later on in the full game is based on Doom. And I have been working on reviewing this game for the website and spectacularly not delivering that because things are crazy. But the point is that this game is awesome. And we sat down and played it for a little bit. I sat down at home and played a lot of it. I've unlocked almost everything. But it is just very clever.
Yes. Also, shout outs to the Desktop Survivors guys, because they actually were selling, if you guys can see this, physical editions of the game.
Yes.
And I bought one for myself, and I bought Lucas one. And
God,
because
physical
it's-
PC games.
yeah, it's just so charming, and they had these cute little
I love it.
kind of collectible cards. And really, really charming. And as soon as I saw that they were selling this, and as soon as we played it, and it plays great, and here's your actual Desktop Survivors 98 disc. And this is the fun thing about this is this version of the game is never going to be updated because it's a hard disk.
Yeah.
Like just like a game from that era, like
Yep.
there's no patches. This is what you get. And so I had to buy it just because I thought it was neat. But it's on Steam, and the cool thing is you can play it over anything. So like
overlay software, yeah.
So Lucas has been, making these kind of joke posts on Skybox about like, oh, we're working on this. We're also playing Desktop Survivors 98 on top of this thing. And it's really easy to understand and pick up and play, and it works wonderfully. And we played it on like machines from basically like the 90s, and it ran great.
Old yellowing Microsoft mice with the giant balls and like the big chunky keyboards. Like they were committing to the bit full force.
Yeah, it was incredible bit commitment, and also the game just feels great. And like it's one of those games where you can play it for like 5 minutes, right? Like you could just be like, I want to play Desktop Survivors. I need a 5-minute break from whatever I'm working on. You just boot it up and it plays on your desktop and you play it. And it has all these cool, references to like Clippy and Doom and like all these pieces of like 90s PC stuff, right? And it's a very charming game.
Very cool.
So if that sounds like something that you would like to support, I highly recommend you check out Desktop Survivors 98. It is $4 on Steam. It's 20% off on Steam actually right now for the next 10 days until July 10th. And there is a demo, so you can play it.
The demo is very different from the final game. Just a heads up. But still very cool. And there will be a review on Skybox very soon.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, absolutely a video game that you should check out just because of what a weird little thing it is. And you can also what's funny is you can also use the Desktop Survivors 98 cursors on your actual computer if you want. There's a way to just kind of, because they are real working cursors, to just put them on your computer. So if you like, the Doom one, you can put it on your computer and make it your mouse. So very cool little game, and one of those like there's always like a game or 3 or 4 or 5 that like people are like, oh, you got to go see this, Pigface was one of them. And like that goes around in the press room and among the press circles. And I think Desktop Survivors by the end of the show had definitely gotten to that point of like, oh, this is cool actually. Like this is a one for the freaks.
Like you got to play this. You got to see the booth.
You got to see the
really,
booth.
really good. Yeah.
It's art. I love it.
It is art.
Yeah. I enjoy it, and I still have ideas for joke posts, and I can't wait to get back to them now that my life has calmed down a little bit. What a cool thing! It's just fun to play with. It's like a game and a toy at the same time.
Game and toy. Yes, the great debate. Do we have anything for PAX? I mean, obviously, like I think we are both going to do top 10s, hopefully within the next like couple weeks of like the best things we saw. But we do have other stuff to talk about, namely SGF, which I guess means mostly I'm going to talk about SGF. I think I was the only one there physically, although I know Brian did some coverage from home. So
yeah, I covered several of the shows, like the big streams that they did. But
yeah, and yeah, we actually got some SGF specific questions, so it might actually be a good time to ask those from our listeners.
Ooh, the crossover appeal on Twitch says, you guys ever check out anything in the tabletop section at PAX? I always try to give at least a dozen or so board games a try when I'm there. So the answer for me is no, but that's just because when I'm at PAX, I tend to book myself silly, and I just basically don't have any time left. But that's a failing on my part.
Yeah, I have a similar answer in that, like, I wish I did. I love board games. If I could show you, if I could pick this camera up and walk around my apartment with it, you'd see that there's just an entire closet of board games.
There's a lot.
There's a lot, right? And there's actually like you can't see it's just out of the frame, but like my Metal Gear Solid board game is right there, and there's some Cthulhu Death May Die stuff stacked over there. As we get prepared to move, but soon. Skybox will have a new headquarters in New York. But one of the things that I would love to do, I think next year, is I think I'm going to actually try to make some time to go see the board game stuff, because I think board games are really interesting and fascinating as like a piece of design, because they operate on a physical space and video games don't. And because of that, like there's only so many things you can do, and the game has to work in a way that like works in physical space, right?
But there's also some things in board games you can't do with a video game, which I think is also interesting. Yeah, it would be really cool to get all of us together at a PAX and like do that. Like, just if there are some things that people want to show us, to just play them together.
That would be fun. But so the answer is no. It's a personal failing. Again, when I go to PAX, I'm usually going for work, and so I'm booking myself full to see as much of the stuff as I can that my editors would like me to see. But next PAX, I think I'm going to make a priority to see some board games, because I think if you understand board game design, like you've played a bunch of board games, you're going to be better at talking about video games, because they are linked in really profound ways that I feel like a lot of us don't talk about. Because a lot of people are into one or the other, right? But like if you play a tabletop for a while, you're like, I see how this, influenced this other game.
Yeah.
You very can see the
inspirations in a lot of similar ways that you can, as we've pointed out previously on this show, if you're into literature,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I appreciate board games, but my brain struggles with sitting down with them and taking the time with them and absorbing all of the rules. That said, every now and then one kind of falls through and it like clicks with me, and I have a great time. And I like card games as much as they are miserable real life gotcha games sometimes.
Pure degeneracy card games.
I do like playing them. So I like to like walk around the floor and see what's going on, but it's the same thing of like all my time is booked by video games. I'm sorry. That said, a very fond memory. The second time I went to PAX, Eric Van Allen of PAX of the Blood God brought the Unicorn Overlord. Is that the name of that game?
Yeah.
The card game that came with like the special edition or whatever, he brought that. We were sitting in the fucking hotel lobby playing that, and one of the PR people that works with like Square Enix and Atlas and stuff was like, "Are you playing that card game? Can I get a picture? This is crazy." So I do mess with tabletop, but I do not. I have not made time for it yet at PAX. Besides playing that one card game.
Challenge to the Skybox crew. Next time at PAX, more board games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for that question, Crossover Appeal.
Yeah, that's a great question. Should we switch to questions that we got in the chat from before the show, and then we can go into SGF?
Yeah. Let's do it. So, question from Ed Kane. If SGF was a sandwich, what kind of sandwich would it be?
Ooh, that's tough because I think it would be a very different sandwich depending on if you are at home or if you're at the show.
Yeah.
If you're at the show, like I think at home SGF can be kind of a miserable experience, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you're just watching like like E3, right? Like here's sizzle reel Nintendo Direct, but it's very long. And as someone who was at the live recording of the major show this year, all I could think of like after the second hour was like, man, I want to stand up. My butt is falling asleep. I don't like it. So if like you're reviewing that part of the show as like a sandwich, right? You'd be like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's a ham and cheese. It's not gonna light the world on fire. It's not gonna kill you. It'll get you fed. I think honestly though, like the actual show, and I'm gonna say this like I guess as someone with a fondness for like my wife makes a killer BLT. It's a really good BLT, like really good thick tomatoes, like really great lettuce, like the bacon is cooked just so.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of like your sauce du jour, your spread that you've got on there to give it a little extra flavor to make it not dry. And it just goes down really easy. It's very comfortable. And it tastes great, right? Like a BLT is one of those things that is like kind of how well you make it. And I think the actual experience of going to the show is like, oh, like I'm going to walk into this room and there's going to be like 20 booths. And I can just walk up to them and be like, hey, can I see your game? And they're like, yeah. And you just come and sit on the couch and you play the game and you have a great time. And it's very low key and very relaxed. And in a way that I appreciate, it kind of really allows you to focus on the games because it is just press and content creators. There is nobody else there. And this is not to dunk on PAX in any way, because I think PAX is a great show, but PAX first and foremost is a consumer show. It's not for guys like us. And that's fine. Everybody, I think there should be shows like PAX, but
yeah,
SGF is very much a like, this is for work. You get to see all your friends. You're seeing PR people that you've talked to a lot, you've never met personally. And the vibe for that is just very low key. So I would say it's a very good BLT.
Yeah. I would say, as somebody who covered it remotely, I would say if you've ever been to the to Panera Bread or the I think the original name is St. Louis Bread Company, because it started there. They have a sandwich called the Bacon Turkey Bravo, which is an excellent sandwich. It's an excellent sandwich. It's got a little bit of avocado on there. Basically, that is what I would compare this to. It's got basically everything I want. I'm a person for whom like variety is the spice of life. I want to have a little bit of everything. I want to have some refreshing stuff. I want to have some nutritious stuff. I want to have some guilty pleasures. I felt like I got a little bit of all of that through SGF. Yeah.
For me, I didn't really have to work. Like I did a little bit of catch up for some news writing. So I was just kind of like, I forget what I was doing, but I had the stream on. I wasn't really enjoying it. And I was, feeling kind of bummed out about not being there with all my homies. So I would say it was kind of like eating a gas station hot dog on a trip that I don't want to be on, because I'd rather be anywhere else, and it doesn't taste very good, but I have to eat it because I'm hungry. And gas station hot dogs are kind of big, so they take a while to eat, more than you want them to, you know.
You had to eat it because the last place to get food was like 70 miles ago, and the next one is like 150 miles away.
Exactly. Yeah. So gas station hot dog. But maybe I got like a cool drink or something while I was there, because there were a couple things I was interested in.
They had an icy machine, and you got like a, I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it
cherry
was a
icy.
Well, no, not a 7-Eleven, because their hot dogs, I don't know what that's like. But you know.
What kind of gas station are we talking about? We talking about a Love's? We talking about, you know?
Was it a Wawa hot dog?
We talking about a Wawa? Because if it's a Wawa, I'm gonna be happier about it.
No, definitely like a chain that you don't hear about.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely was sitting there like, I'm not having a good time. Good Lord, this is a lot of like grody looking Souls likes nobody cares about.
So it's not a sit go. It's maybe not a flying J.
No. It's like a, I don't know, like an Exxon station.
Yeah.
There's words on the building that don't say Exxon, that say something else, but it's just attached to an Exxon.
It's a knockoff Exxon station.
Yeah.
All right. We do also, let's see. Yeah, we also do have a few more questions. We have one more question from Austin and one more question from Murph. How are we looking on time on your out, Will?
Let's do it. Let's answer them, and then I'll get into the show. I don't think it'll take very long to talk about the show.
Okay. Austin says, would be interesting to hear your take on the amount of smaller scale games, indie I suppose, versus the bigger ones. Did they have the right balance, or did it feel more skewed towards one side or the other? I know what I'd say, but yeah.
So Austin was there, so it's an interesting question. I thought that the show was very heavily indie. It's not to say that there weren't major publishers there. Capcom was there, Bandai Namco was there, Sega was there, Microsoft was there. Microsoft was there basically as an invite-only presence. Most people did not get to see what they had, in the same way that like most people did not get to play Resident Evil 9. Some people did. Most people did not. But a lot of the show was indies, and I actually thought that was really great. Because there was the big stuff, right? Like Bandai Namco had 3 games, 4 games. Yeah, 4 games. Sega had 3 games. Capcom had 3 games. And actually they technically had more than that if you count like the new Street Fighter stuff. And who was the last one I said? Capcom, Bandai Namco, Sega, and Microsoft actually showed off a bunch of stuff again, but it was very, exclusive. So what I think is interesting, right, is like we're seeing what publishers think there is value in something like SGF. Like Nintendo doesn't go, right? Sony doesn't go. But Capcom goes, and Sega goes, and Microsoft thinks there's value there. Even if Microsoft is very like, we're going to be very, restrictive about who gets to play our game. And so I think it's really great that, one of the things that SGF has gotten a lot of flack for in recent years has been, like there's too much focus on the big stuff and not enough indies. And this year there was a lot of indie stuff. It was my first SGF, so I can't say if that was different, but there was a lot of indie stuff that you could just go play, or smaller stuff. Annapurna was there. The Dying Light guys were there. And so a lot of that stuff like felt like maybe not AAA, but like, expensive enough, like prestigious enough where it's like, oh, okay, like Annapurna is a pretty big, publisher. Like Sega being there is cool. Capcom being there is cool. So I thought they had a really nice balance of like, here's some of the major publishers in the space and what they're doing, and also like, here's this really cool little indie game that you've never heard of. Go play that. And even like some of the stuff there, like Supermassive was there. I think, people are like, oh, Supermassive isn't like a massive, studio or whatever, but like their stuff is really neat and it's very unique. So I thought it was a good balance.
Good stuff. Any input on that, Lucas?
Not really. I did not pay super close attention to what was going on at SGF. Just time bandwidth wise. There's really only one thing on my mind when it comes to SGF, and I hope Will brings it up later. He probably knows what it is.
Cool. Well, I guess we'll
it's
wait.
really crucially important to me, and I'm already got it pinned as game of the year, but we'll see.
All right. All right, we got another question. As far as your personal taste is concerned, what franchises or developers are allowed to farm hype off of a reveal trailer that's all cinematics and no gameplay?
And
This
publisher?
this is a great question. Publisher or developer?
Okay.
So generally, my rule is no gameplay, no hype. However, I am not immune when one of the GOATs comes out with a really fantastic trailer. I haven't played anything by Blizzard in a long time, but let me tell you, some of those reveal trailers for like WoW, like PAX or like the StarCraft, Wings of Liberty, like
the Wings of Liberty announced trailer lives rent free in my head.
Yeah, like
rent free. I know exactly where I was the first.
It's about damn time.
Tychus is so cool.
Yeah, there are some where like they can cut. So I guess that does answer the question. Like Blizzard sometimes, but generally I really want to see gameplay. If I see gameplay, like that is much more likely to get me hype.
Yeah.
Unless the cinematics are like pitch perfect, like on tone for something that's exactly my shit. Like if somebody did like a cinematic reveal trailer for like a Dragon Ball game and it looked really sick and I knew what it was, like even if they didn't show gameplay, they're like, this is a 2D 1v1 fighting game or whatever by Arxis, I'd be like, you sold me. But the thing is, Arxis wouldn't do that without showing gameplay. So it's like they know what's important. So I think for me, it would probably just be Blizzard at this point. I can't really think of another. Yeah, I mean, even something like Supergiant, like I would want to see the gameplay because all their games are kind of different.
Lucas, what about you?
So I had to think about this one a little bit. I was trying to think about like what was the last time I was really like, whoa, like reacting to something that was basically just like a logo. I think it was Resident Evil 7. I don't remember specifically how that game was revealed, but I do remember they were really clever, kind of like this time when they were like, oh, this is actually a Resident Evil game. And the timing was really impeccable because like 6 had come out and everyone was hating on it because they're wrong.
It's the hottest take on this podcast.
I fucking love Resident Evil 6.
We need to do like a live stream of me and Lucas playing Resident Evil 6 because I've never played it. And I actually want to do this now very badly.
Oh my god, hell yeah.
I haven't either. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I fell for like, here's the logo of this thing. And like another publisher I thought about was Square Enix because I typically accidentally do apologia for Square Enix, but usually when they do the thing where they don't show gameplay, it's for Final Fantasy, and that doesn't usually do much for me. When they show
Like, oh, we're
things
developing a new Final Fantasy. You don't say, Square Enix.
When they show something I'm like interested in and freaking out about, they usually show gameplay. They're pretty good about that. I don't know. I think Capcom still has enough stuff that you don't always expect to see where that can work on me. Like I was like, oh shit, it's Okami. That's really cool. Even though they didn't show anything. And if they brought Breath of Fire back, I'd probably pop for that if they only showed a little bit. But I think it really depends on what it is, more so than like the publisher or the developer. Like if a new Castlevania thing happened, I'd probably, you'd probably get my attention just by being like, it's Castlevania, but I don't know if Konami would do that.
Well, and also I would want to know, like, is it 3D? Is it 2D? Like, what are you doing with it?
Right. Who's making it? Is it a Mercury Steam joint? Are you developing like it internally? Have you licensed it out to
I would watch the fine print at the end of this trailer from Mercury Steam.
Yeah.
I don't think there is one for me. Like, it would really depend on what it is. I would say like the Capcom would probably be the closest. I think I have enough like baked in nostalgia for Capcom stuff that they would probably be the ones to get me if anyone did.
God, like even Mega Man, I would be like, I don't know, man. You guys have missed, like, not on the 2D stuff, but
yeah, I'd be excited about Mega Man. I'd be excited about Breath of Fire. Some weird other thing came back that Capcom sitting on. I'd probably pop for that if it was just like we're doing this again, like rival schools. That'd be pretty sick. But they'd probably show gameplay for that. But yeah,
if they announced another Mega Man X with just a cinematic trailer, I would probably freak the fuck out.
Yeah, I think I would probably do the what? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like I think I would become the meme.
Like I did when FF7R was announced. I was just like, what? They're doing it. Oh my God. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I remember being at E3 for that in the hotel room watching it and being like, oh, okay, they're doing it. Very like question mark. Yeah.
Well, what about you?
I mean, you kind of stole mine. I think Blizzard. But it would depend on what it was.
Yeah.
Like if it was like Overwatch 3, I'd be like, I'm afraid that ship has sailed. And I am not on board. I am at the pier waving goodbye.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if you showed StarCraft 3 tomorrow, I would be like, what? You know what I mean? Like I'd be going crazy. I'd be climbing the walls. But the thing
I think
is,
that's still the Blizzard series that like hasn't really ever had, like, the low for StarCraft is like pretty goddamn high still.
Yeah,
like, it would be like Legacy of the Void, maybe?
I think it's Heart of the Swarm, but Heart of the Swarm is still good.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, your worst game is still like quite good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I think StarCraft, I was thinking about this honestly, because I think about this a lot and I try not to get sucked into hype cycles. I'm very much if you don't show me gameplay, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Person. And even more so now where it's like, oh, you could be showing me gameplay, but like that game might never come out. Remember Scalebound?
Yeah.
I do.
I actually wanted to play that game.
I did too. But we've seen enough games that like, here's some gameplay, and you're like, when's the release date?
Yeah.
Coming soon, and we're like, been in development for like 6 years. When's the release? And you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You don't know. So I think I don't have a lot of that. I will tell you that the last time I got really, really like over the moon excited for a video game, I remember the exact 3, and they were all E3 reveals. Actually 4. So one of them obviously happened this year, Ninja Gaiden 4. Lucas literally texted me. I was on the couch with my cat.
Will, your people are on the screen.
Just vibing. And Lucas texted me. He's like, well, you need to turn on the what was it? What was it? What was the showcase? It was the Xbox showcase. It's like, well, you need to turn on your TV right now. Like they're showing Ninja Gaiden. And I was like, oh, shit. So I'm immediately going on like YouTube and Twitch and like rewinding to watch the trailer. And then I rewatched the trailer like 8 times. So like Ninja Gaiden is obviously one, but that had gameplay, right? Like
Yeah.
if you just say we're making Ninja Gaiden, like no, you have to show me an Azuna drop.
Yeah.
So like I think StarCraft could do it. I think honestly at this point, like if you were like Diablo, I'd be like, okay, like I have enough goodwill towards the Diablo 4 team where I'd be like, sure, I'll take it on faith.
That was one of the ones that I almost mentioned because I was like, I'm pretty sure the Diablo 4 reveal trailer was only cinematic.
It was.
It was really good because it was really fucked up. So
yeah, I mean, the Blizzard Cinematics team is the best in the business.
Yeah.
So that did the 2 times, excuse me, that I really got excited for games without gameplay, and one of these doesn't count because there was little snippets of it. Was Twilight Princess, which had little snippets of gameplay, and Halo 3.
Halo 3.
I remember exactly where I was when they showed that trailer. You know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I did think, and I've been sitting here thinking about this question, and the answer is really not much anymore. Like there's studios that I would trust. Like if you were like, we're making a new Resident Evil, I'd be like, cool. But is it a game for sickos or is it a game for people who are like, I like loud footsteps and solving puzzles? Which that came across more mean than I meant it to. But like that's just not the Resident Evil I go here for. Like I want a roundhouse kick and suplex zombies, right? Like that's what I'm here for. I want to go to Spain.
Will's here for the silly shit.
Yeah, I need your right hand comes off. Like that's what I'm here for with Resident Evil. And if it's not there, I think I would actually really like Resident Evil 6.
Oh, bro. You want to suplex some zombies?
Yeah. It's like Capcom.
Will wants to be the master of unlocking. Come on.
Yeah, like there's a lot of and some of the other stuff, right? Like the stuff that you would think like, oh, big announce, like Square could be like, we're working on Final Fantasy, and it's like, yeah, man, we know. You know what I mean? Like, hey. Yeah. We're making a new Street Fighter. Yeah, man, we know, right? Yeah. Like, and I think we've kind of gotten to the era where successful franchises don't really go away anymore, like ever,
right?
Ever.
Another one. I mean, I've got
it's another one.
Dragon Quest shit behind me, and they show Dragon Quest 13. I'm gonna be like, or 12. Excuse me. I'll be like, yeah.
It is understood right? that it's coming.
Yeah, and there was like a period for a while there where stuff being successful didn't mean that it didn't go away.
Yeah.
I will tell you one very specific.
Gears of War went away for a while.
It's been a while since 5.
Yeah.
It's been a while since Halo Infinite. Like, you know, but like now we're getting like games once a generation and a franchise, and then they stay and they become a live service game for that generation.
Yeah.
Next generation, you get a new game. But like I will tell you one. There's really not very many. It really is just kind of Blizzard. But I will tell you one very specific game where if you showed me a logo, I would be like tearing out my couch cushions with my teeth.
Name your price. I must have it.
Sleeping Dogs 2. I would be ballistic.
You want Sleepy Dogs?
I want Sleepy Dogs. Do not let sleeping dogs lie. Rouse the dogs. Unleash the puppies. Give us Sleeping Dogs 2.
Let them out,
Wei fucking Shen. Yeah, like give us Wei fucking Shen. Yeah, so great question. But, you know, I think part of it for me is especially like now, I really try not to get caught up in hype cycles anymore. And also like a lot of the stuff that... Oh, there's one more. You know what the other one is? Lucas would know this, I think. Lucas, what is the game that I talk about a lot that I'm like, man, I would kill if they made another one of these? Brian also might know this.
Duke Nukem?
I would not get excited for a logo for Duke Nukem.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
We've been pitching, like, we've been elevator pitching Duke Nukem stuff, and it's very good.
There's been a lot of Duke Nukem conversations in the Skybox Discord recently.
Yeah.
And we are surprisingly more pro Duke Nukem than I think many people would think, but for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I'll give you a hint. It's a shooter, so you're not too far off with Duke Nukem. It's from that era.
It's
one of the
Quake.
Quake.
Oh.
If you showed me the Quake logo, I would go ballistic.
Now I was
I was gonna go a different direction, not because I don't know that you like Quake, but I'm curious. How would your reaction be if they were like, "We're bringing back Fear"?
Cautiously optimistic. The funny thing with Fear is like 2/3 of that series is bad.
Yeah.
Like, with absolutely no disrespect to anybody who worked on Fear 2 and Fear 3. Like Fear 2 has some really cool moments in it, but it's a pretty flawed game, and Fear 3 is weird. Like, it's a co-op game, right? Like, it's very strange. It's that era where like put multiplayer in everything. Dead Space is co-op. Like, it's from that era.
Yeah.
And like, if you showed me Fear, I would be like, yeah, Fear is cool as hell. I'm very interested to see what you guys do, but I think I would be afraid. I would be like, and not like in the way that like Fear should inspire fear. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
I think it'd be like, oh no, what are you doing?
So I thought about
Please
one.
not the Fear extraction shooter, please.
I thought about one, Will. I thought about one.
What?
It's not a developer or a publisher, but it is a game.
What?
And I think that you and I are on the same thing with this. Visual of a city. All right. There's a guy with a hoodie up walking down the street. He turns down an alley, stabs somebody through, and then like melts into them, transforms himself, walks back out. Prototype.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go nuts for it, but I would nod my head approvingly.
Yeah.
I would be very interested. I would love to see another prototype. But yeah, I think there's very few. Like Quake is one, a Blizzard thing. There are developer and like series pairings that I would go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for.
Yeah.
If you announce tomorrow that this is impossible and will never happen. If you announce tomorrow that Bungie is no longer owned by Sony,
Yeah.
that they brought back the entire Halo 3 team and said, we're making Halo.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Yeah. That would do it for me too. But that's not going to happen.
That is not going to happen.
Speaking of not going to happen, I just thought of the ultimate shitpost scenario. Nintendo updates the Nintendo Today app with just the Mother 3 title screen.
Oh, actually, you know what? Low-key, I have to do one more, and then we should move on to SGF. Everybody say hi, Kira.
Hey,
Hi,
Kira.
Kira's to say. So the one that I low-key, like, I was like, man, I'm immune to Nintendo at this point in my career. You know what, low-key? You know what it would be?
What?
If they put the F-Zero logo on a screen.
One of these days they have to, right? They
I mean,
have
did
to.
the 99 one.
Like, I would be like a dog with a bone. I would be chewing on my desk. Like howling.
He'd be doing that
moon.
like that old, like, I don't know if it's Looney Tunes or whatever, but like the wolf that's like stomping his feet and like whistling, like at the round table.
Steam is coming out of my ears, like, and that would be the one with just a logo where you could say F-Zero.
Yeah.
And that would be it. But like you couldn't do that for Star.
Captain Falcon is coming back.
Yeah, like if you gave me like one last race set up for like Captain Falcon and F-Zero, I would be so there. You would not believe how there I would be. Like that's the story, is like one last race, the old man comes out of retirement or something. I would be there. I would be there immediately.
That'd be pretty good, yeah.
I would be there so hard. Like it would probably be illegal in certain states.
Yes, definitely.
Like I like there would be, it's like where it's like like the red eyes jackal sniper like meme where it's like like that would be like that would be me. Lucas doesn't get it. I'll explain it to Lucas after the show. So great question. Great question.
Also,
let's talk about FGF.
Also, fun fact, Murpho4 in the chat on Twitch says, "Oh wow, I joined right as my question was being answered."
Shoutouts to Murph.
Fun fact, Murph, not the only question you got answered tonight.
Yeah,
so you'll have to go back and
and watch the rest.
Catch the VOD. Let's talk about SGF. So
SGF
was really
which obviously stands for Super Gushy Frogs. Definitely.
super the most gushy of frogs. It's that Mitch Hedberg joke come to life. Oh man, check out that frog. I better play dead. Like it's like that.
By the way, this has nothing to do with literally anything. Hold on, I have to pull up this picture.
Oh my God.
Went to my chiropractor's office the other day. There's a person at their office who does massage therapy. I have had a massage from this person, and I did not realize this until I came back into the chiropractor's office this week. Her headshot makes her look like Mitch Hedberg. It's insane.
Escalator temporarily stairs. Sorry for the convenience.
That is my go-to Mitch Hedberg joke that pops into my head every time I think about him.
Shout out.
I've been told everybody has one.
Everybody has one. So SGF. So I was at SGF. My laptop was destroyed on the way there. The lady in front of me put her seat back too fast and it just crushed my screen. While between like the plate where the tray table goes in, and I'm still very sad about it.
What an asshole.
I have to go take it into my Micro Center and see if they can replace it. But the screen is literally like one side of the screen is literally bent like this. Makes me so sad. I love that.
Rocket
laptop.
Your body into an airplane seat. That's ridiculous.
The funny part was like at first it caught it, and I'm trying to like put it down. She just keeps doing it harder, and I'm like, no, please. So SGF. There was also like all the protests going on in LA.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was weird. It was a very weird time to be there. Oh my God, that is Mitch Hedberg.
Yeah. That is my massage therapist. I was like, this is it's wild how much she looks like him.
That is Mitch Hedberg's sister. Anyway, the protest was fine. Like I was, people have made a big deal about what was going on in LA. I was never in any way felt like unsafe or anything like that. We actually, I got trapped in a hotel bar with some guys because they were like, the entirety of downtown LA is now an unlawful assembly. And so I was like, I need assembly unlawful in the Dark Souls font, and someone actually made it for me. I put it on Blue Sky. So that's how that night was going. But SGF was a great show, and I saw a bunch of things. I don't want to talk about everything because that will take forever. Some of the stuff I've written about for various places. I'm going to point out the stuff that I thought was really cool. So, stuff that I thought was really cool. The Marvel beat 'em up from Dotemu.
Yes.
And I forget what the name of it is because I only have it as Marvel.
It is
Cosmic Invasion.
Yeah.
Cosmic Invasion. That game rips. That game is amazing. It's from
they stay publishing fantastic beat 'em ups.
Just banger after banger. It's a team that did Shredder's Revenge.
Obviously, it's good.
It is amazing. It feels great. It has combos. I got to discover some of the jungle combos while I was playing. I was like, yeah. It has a combo tracker that goes really high. So yeah. Looks great, sounds great, feels fantastic. Really kind of eclectic group of Marvel characters, and they're obviously Wolverine's there, but there's some really interesting choices there. Some really cool boss fights. I cannot wait for it. I'm so excited to play more of it. I thought they did a great job of showing it to us. They just basically set us in a chair and said, here, play some game. And I'm happy to report that it is absolutely as good as you think it is. If you have not played Shredder's Revenge, if you have not played kind of the modern beat-em-up Renaissance games like Streets of Rage 4 or Power Rangers or the TMNT collection from Digital Eclipse, it is a golden time to be a beat-em-up fan. I don't want to say golden age. I don't think we're there yet. But if you like beat-em-ups, it's a great time to be a beat-em-up fan. It's the best time to be a beat-em-up fan since the arcades.
Did they say that this is going to have online multiplayer?
I think so? Question mark?
Because if they did, Will, you and I, we are back, baby.
Oh,
one more for our roster, and
we will have never been so back.
I will also say, as a big fan of Annihilus, it is awesome to see him getting top billing as the villain on the key art for this game.
It is very cool. It says cross-platform multiplayer, so I'm guessing that means that it will be online.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why have cross-platform? You can't cross-platform when everyone's on the same local machine.
Yep.
But anyway, that game is stunning. So shout outs to Marvel Cosmic Invasion and the team at Tribute Games. I got to do a short interview with them and then tell them how much that like if you know me, if anybody who's spent any time discussing video games with me, hey, Brian, what's my favorite beat 'em up?
Turtles in Time.
Yeah. Right. You know exactly how I feel about and how do I feel about Shredder's Revenge, Lucas?
It's very good.
It's very good. It is the Turtles in Time sequel I waited for 20 years. Shout outs to the team at Tribute Games. They've done a killer job with the beat 'em ups that they've done. And I cannot wait to see what Cosmic Invasion looks like when they are done with it. I will tell you what they showed us was very, very good. I only got to play it for about 15 minutes, but I was hooked. Beat 'em ups are one of those games where you can kind of immediately tell if it's going to feel good to play it just because it's a beat 'em up and it has to be initially feel good. Like, it's an arcade kind of design, right? You have to know immediately, like, does this fun? Is this fun? And yeah, Cosmic Invasion has the juice. Another cool thing that I saw was Directive 8020 from Supermassive. I don't know, is anybody else here a Supermassive guy? Is it just me? Am I the Supermassive representative on the podcast?
I think so. They're the Until Dawn people, right?
They are the Until Dawn cats, yes.
That's the only one I played.
Yeah, that's the only one of theirs that I've played, I think, but I did enjoy it.
So if you were listening to this and you were like, man, I really liked Until Dawn, I'd like to play another game like that, may I recommend? I'm not saying every Supermassive game is a hit. I've played all of them. The ones that I will tell you that you should play, absolutely, and then you can go to the other ones if you really want some more of that, are The Quarry, which is very Until Dawn-y, and of the Dark Pictures games, I highly, highly, highly recommend House of Ashes, which I think might be my favorite of theirs. Very unique setting. It's set during the war in Afghanistan, and these soldiers find something that they shouldn't. And it's really cool. And The Quarry is like, they're at a summer camp. Things go badly. Great time. But I got to play Directive 8020, which is very heavily inspired by The Thing and Alien. And it's also got some really great... one of the things with Until Dawn and those games is they're very heavily scripted, right? Like, a lot of the time you're doing quick time events and you're running, and you can only do certain things. With Directive 8020, they have really opened up the gameplay and kind of let you do stuff. What they told me, again, our demo was not long, I would say about maybe 15 minutes, is characters can basically die whenever. Like, you can screw up a cell segment and just die, right? It's not like in the older games where it's like, oh, you can only die at this time, right? If you do this sequence of events, and like the stuff that happens to you early on will affect like what happens later. Like, if you get injured early on, like that's going to affect that character later. And so they showed me this stealth segment where like you could succeed or you could fail based entirely on like this very freeform kind of movement that you had, as opposed to like hold your breath, right? Like you were actually moving around as you would in like a stealth game. I thought it was really cool. It looks great. It has some great acting talent in it. It's the sequence they showed me was extremely well written. I love Supermassive stuff. I think they're doing something really unique that nobody else is doing. And I came out of Directive 8020 being like, man, I only got like 15 minutes with this, and I want to see more of it, which is the best that you can ask for. So shout outs to them. Ironically, I think everybody is going to talk about the stuff that they saw at Capcom. Don't worry, Lucas, we're getting to your game, I promise. Because I know what it is. I knew what it was before you sent it to me, but I was like, I just need to make sure I'm not hallucinating. People are going to talk about Resident Evil 9. I will tell you that I did not get a lot out of the Resident Evil 9 demo, with no disrespect to anybody who's like, I love that. That was my favorite thing. No disrespect to the folks at Capcom. It looks like a very much a haunted house Resident Evil game. Right? Like, it is very much like a wander. What they showed us was very much like wander around. There's a big thing chasing you. You kind of have to run away from it. Your character is very scared and her footsteps are very loud and she's breathing very heavily, which I thought was a really nice touch, because like normally a game like that kind of asks you to project the fear onto the character from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if you're not scared, it's like whatever. But she is scared. She is scared independent of you, which is an interesting choice.
That is interesting.
So you're dealing with it and you're like, oh man, like her footsteps are really loud. Like she's breathing really heavily. What if someone hears that? Right. So it kind of like pushes the tension with you, but we didn't see a lot of like actual gameplay aside from like walking around and kind of doing Resident Evil puzzles. So it is more Resident Evil. They've said that this is going to be very horror focused Resident Evil. You can play it in first and third person, which the crowd popped out for in our little demo theater. And I thought was pretty neat. But it's more Resident Evil. That was not the thing that I really liked when what I saw from Capcom. The thing that I most liked actually was Onimusha. We got a hands-off demo of Onimusha, about 20 minutes of gameplay. It looks amazing. It's stunningly gorgeous. And the combat looks great. The main character is modeled after
Toshiro Mifune.
Yes. I was trying to think about how to say his first name. Toshiro Mifune, who, if you don't know who that is, you haven't watched enough Akira Kurosawa films. Or just
Indeed.
Japanese film from that stuff in general. Very, very famous actor, probably best known for his collaborations with Akira Kurosawa.
He's the dirty man in Seven Samurai.
Yeah, he is. You have seen Mifune. He is in Yojimbo. He's in Sanjuro. Like that's who he is. I think he's in Drunken Angel. He's in basically every movie that Kurosawa made for a very long time has Mifune in it. But he is the person that the thing is based on. Looks just like him. They've got the mannerisms down, and the combat is really cool because it's like you have omnidirectional block. One of the things I don't like about action games is that like they very much punish you for blocking in the modern age, and this is like no, you should be blocking. Like there is a parry system, obviously, but there's a finesse to the way that the sword moves, and then like. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but a lot of my problem with parry is like it doesn't look like you should be parrying the thing that you're parrying because you're just like generic parry animation. Enemy gets blown backwards in a way that doesn't look like it matches. Whereas this is like the way the swords move is like really elaborately choreographed. And it's like, oh yeah, it should look like that, right? Like it should, the way my sword should move his sword this way. And presentation is, everybody say hi.
Hello.
Hello. Like when you have a sword fight, right? Like part of the beauty of fight choreography in a film or anything, you know, on a stage or even in a game is the way that like the physical characters move, right? And the way that they interact with the world around them. And so to watch like, okay, I'm pushing up this way. So his sword is going to go this way. And it was like that every time. That's really neat. To see like the level of detail that was put into making it look like yes, these swords are clashing, right? One of the things that I think like sword games do not a great job of is like doing the actual like sword clashing thing, like when two swords hit each other, right? Like this was a real thing that happened. But Onimusha looks really fantastic, and you have this block that allows you to just kind of play defensively until you get your moment. And the other thing that I really like is that in the boss fights, like once you kind of stagger an enemy, it has kind of they have stagger bars. You can choose like, hey, do I cash out and go like for big damage and hit them in the head, or do I like cripple one of their arms and get more souls? And not like souls like Dark Souls, like souls like Onimusha. For people who have never played an Onimusha game, this goes way, 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 way back, pre From Software Souls games. And I thought that was a really interesting choice to let the player like, I can end this more quickly if I want to, or I can like choose to try to make it harder for myself and get more stuff. In a meaningful way while you're doing the boss fight. So I thought Onimusha looked great. We did not actually get to play it. It was played for us, but really stunning, really cool. It's very cool to see Onimusha come back because I never thought we'd get another one, even though they were remastering them. So great to see Onimusha. But I think the sleeper for Capcom was honestly, I'm talking a bunch. Do you guys have any questions about anything I've said? Or we?
Nope.
No, I'm just listening. I'm fascinated.
Was Pragmata.
Yes.
The one game that
I've been excited about since the first reveal trailer. I've been like, yes, give me this weirdness.
Yeah, it's really cool. This was the game at Capcom that I actually did get to play. and we had about a 20-minute demo. And what it is it's basically a third-person game, and it's a shooter in a lot of ways. It's over the shoulder, and you have this little girl who is an android. And the thing with the enemies in Pragmata is that they are shielded, and you cannot damage them while they're shielded. You have to hack them in real time while the combat is going on, and they're trying to come hit you. And so you're playing this kind of mini game in combat, where it's based on the the girl who's kind of the kazooie to your banjo, if you will.
Right.
And she's hacking them. And so the gameplay of I still have to fight this thing doesn't stop. That is still there. But you have to. You guys remember the BioShock hacking minigame where you kind of have to connect the tubes?
The pipes.
It's kind of it's kind of like that, except you're just drawing a line where it's okay, I have to get to this point. There's some stuff blocking my way, but if I get this thing while I'm on the way, I actually do more damage. Or if I get this thing, I'll actually slow them down. Right? So it's that's going to take you out of your way to go get this thing, and then you're going to have to loop back around. It's going to take longer. So how much extra stuff do you want? Are you willing to, risk taking damage to be in this mini game longer, which again is happening in real time while these things are trying to hit you. And so it makes for this really dynamic combat where you're having to balance hey, what's going on in the real world? Also the mini game, right? That is happening at the same time. And once you get the mini game, you can actually start to do real damage and take them down. But sometimes they'll throw multiple things at you in a room, and it's okay, what do I hack first? How do I deal with this? Right? And I don't know how that's going to translate to a whole game. I don't know how that's going to translate to boss fights. I don't know how it's going to translate to how many enemies can you put on the screen at once. But I do think that it's a really fascinating concept and take on combat where it's not just shoot thing, right? You also have to interact with them in this other way. Very, very excited about Pragmata. What else? I'm going through these as fast as
Would you say that you have to decide whether you're going to be pragmatic about which enemies you're going to fight? Anyways, please continue. I will see myself out.
Get him off the stage. Boo.
Oh, wait. Oh. Love a good hook gag.
Guy's jokes are terrible. Anyway.
Boo this man.
Boo. Anyway, other stuff that I saw. Crimson Desert, which I saw at TGA's last year. Game for sickos. I'm giving it the whole thing now. You can zoom around like Spider-Man with the grappling hook in that game. As all kinds of combat tools open up to you. You can RKO people, do wrestling moves, jump kick people. It's very much hey, the controls in this game are going to take you a second, but once you get them, you can do basically whatever you want. And previously, we'd only gotten to see boss fights. This time, we actually got to see an actual mission where we're kind of assaulting a castle and taking out watchtowers, and had a bow and an arrow, and I'd shoot this stuff, and it would call down these massive artillery strikes on the towers, which are getting destroyed in real time. And there's all these soldiers on the screen, and you're trying to deal with all these crazy things that you can do. It's great. I wrote about it for Shaq News if anybody wants really detailed thoughts about that. But I want to shout out Crimson Desert because I thought it was really cool and very unique. Really, really not very much else like it. Stuff that I haven't talked about anywhere else. Really? Oh, I did talk about
how we doing on your heart out? We're getting close, right?
We got 10 minutes.
Okay.
We got 10 minutes.
Got 10 minutes to save the world.
We got 10 minutes. Lego Party is Mario Party with Legos, and it's really fun. I did not expect to be charmed by this as much as I was. But the cool thing about it is you can build the board. So at certain points, you'll get to a part of the board, and it's hey, what do you want to put here? And it'll be here's a choice between two real-life Lego sets. And the set that you build is going to change the way that the board is.
That's cool.
It's that is cool, right? And it's on the pirate theme one, you might get this or this. Otherwise, it is very much Mario Party, but with Lego bricks. But it is extremely fun. The mini games are really great, and it just the commentary. They have commentators on this who are just talking while you're doing stuff. Actually, very funny. Captures kind of the theme of Lego, which has been that way since the Lego Movie, where it's kind of tongue in cheek and having a good time. Also, just because I have to brag a little bit. I was the last person to be the champ at Lego Party at SGF.
Nice. Very
Literally
nice.
the last trophy they gave out. But yeah, it has, like gold brick stealing instead of star stealing, all that stuff. But absolutely a game that you could play with like friends and kids and have a great time with. And that's great to see too, because I feel like there's not a lot of games in the mainstream space that get like advertised to kids anymore outside of Nintendo. But here's this cool Lego game that you could play with your kids. Relooted. Relooted, very cool. Relooted is like, hey, what if this group of people was like, hey, we're going to steal all this stuff that these museums are hoarding and to put them back in their places, their countries of origin. And it is a heist game. You go to these places, you plan out your heist, you have like a guy with a grappling hook, you have your hacker, you have all this stuff. And once you steal the first artifact, sets off the alarm in the building, doors close, so you have to like prop them open with chairs and tables and maybe put a safe there, all this stuff, and plan your way out. And then once you do that, it kind of becomes this like parkour free runner to get out as fast as you can before you get stuck. So it's part planning game, part heist game. Looks really cool from a visual perspective, and the parkour feels great, and the planning stuff feels great. And it's a really neat concept of like, hey, these people shouldn't have this stuff. What if we took it back?
The what if we turned the scene where Killmonger goes to the museum in Black Panther and just turned that into a game? It's like, yes, we should do that. No, Indy, this doesn't belong in a museum, actually.
Yeah. I talked to the game director, who's Ben Myers, and he told me that the actual concept for the game was inspired when his parents went to the British Museum and got really mad. And
nice.
Which I feel like everybody should get mad when they go to the British Museum, because apparently there's an entire building in the British Museum that they just picked up and put there, and like the country that's from, and I can't remember which country it is from, has asked for it back, and the British Museum is like, no. So Relooted is very cool. Bounty Star is Armored Core meets, I don't know, like kind of like take care of your property and like build a little farm game. And it's charming, and it's set in this beautiful rendition of like post-apocalyptic space American Southwest. And it's got a very cool character named Clem who's at the heart of it, and it feels great to play because it's basically Armored Core. And I loved it.
Okay.
And I loved it. I'm just running through everything here. Wuchang Fallen Feathers is really horny, but it is a Souls-like that actually feels good and set in China, and has like a very unique art style because of that, and feels very good to play. And one of the things that I admire is that every weapon is different. Like, you can't guard with every weapon. You can't parry with every weapon. Every weapon has a weapon skill. You kind of have to put yourself in danger and gather these stacks that you get from either dodging or parrying, if your weapon has a parry, to use like your magic, to use your bigger abilities on your weapons. So you actually have to play and put yourself in a position where you can take damage. It's not just about like doing the dance with the boss. Like, you actually have to be aggressive. I really admired it. Also admire that there are a ton of outfits for you to wear, which is where the horny part of it comes in. But the cool thing about the outfits is that they actually make a difference. If you are getting beaten to death by a hammer, you want an outfit that's going to reduce your bludgeoning damage, right? Like, it's not just like, I'm going to pick this because this is my build. Really cool game. I played it for 2 hours. I got my ass thoroughly kicked by the third boss. One person at SGF beat the third boss. It is very, very neat. So if you like Souls-likes, I would highly say, keep an eye on Wuchang. I think it comes out in July. It's right around the corner. My game of the show, I think I've talked about just about everything. Pedal Runner, real quick. Just want to shout them out because they were also very cool, as well as Dying Light, the Beast. Pedal Runner is basically like hey, what if it was a Game Boy Advance game set in the artistic style of Pokemon, but you were a delivery driver? And you were delivering little pets for people.
That sounds cute.
Then you played WarioWare mini games. It's cool. It's very cool. And Dying Light is
also
Dying
big
Light.
shout out to pet delivery drivers.
Yes.
Doing the Lord's work.
Jake is in his bed, but
yep, I see him, the adorable boy.
Yeah, Jake would not be here without the pet delivery drivers. And finally, my game of the show, and the one that I really wanted to talk about, is Ambrosia Sky, which I wrote about over at IGN, but it is a Metroid Prime meets cleaning game shooter. and you are this character who's been sent to clean up this colony that is met with this catastrophe caused by this infection. You don't really know what's going on, and your job is kind of like to clean it up and figure out what the heck is going on. But you want to capture this fungus so you can actually take it with you and study it and improve your little cleaning sprayer. And it's very clever. It's very beautiful. It's very, very intimate, very thoughtful. Because you're finding bodies of people too, right? And your job as a scientist is not only to figure out what's going on, but also to like send these bodies off that have agreed to participate in the study that you were doing before your death. And you kind of like use this special kind of fungus to cremate them, and then they grow flowers, and it's very beautiful. Very thoughtful game. One of the coolest things that happened was at one point I had this door that was locked and I couldn't get into it, so it was unpowered. So I took some power. I had this like special spray in my gun that allowed me to like make little like a conduit, basically. So I went to like a random screen, sprayed the conduit to the door opens. And now I have access to anti-gravity, so I can navigate this area in a completely different way just because I opened a door. Probably sooner than someone who was doing it normally would have done. Very pretty, exceptionally beautiful, very thoughtful. Easily my game of the show. And I know it doesn't sound amazing, but there is a demo on Steam. I believe it's still there. If you haven't played Ambrosia Sky,
it is. I've downloaded it.
Yeah, go play it. I thought it was really fantastic, and I really, really loved it.
Cool.
Oh, and one more, last one for Lucas. Digimon! The one he's been waiting for.
Running out the clock on Digimon, you son of a gun.
No, I was going to do it last. I was going to do it last for you. Okay. I wanted to keep you in suspense. We can go slightly over. We can go slightly over for Digimon. So I got to play Digimon Story Time Stranger.
I'm so jealous.
I have never played a Digimon game in my life. This was my first time, and I really liked it. I'm gonna go play Cyber Sleuth now. But if you've never played a Digimon game, it is a DVD ass DVD menu game. Like that is what it is. It is a game where you have a party full of Digimon and you are doing turn-based orders of combat. And you can digivolve your Digimon and make them different and give them new abilities. And you can de-digivolve them. And they have like 1 billion Digievolutions because it's Digimon. This game has about 450 unique Digimon in it, which is really cool. And it's a great party-based RPG. And it looks really fantastic. Lots of freedom to kind of like customize your party. You can buy these things that allow you to teach them new abilities that they wouldn't normally get. You can customize them with gear. There's elemental weaknesses. There's 3 different types of Digimon, and you have to manage like it's a vaccine, data, and virus, each of which is, rock, paper, scissors against the other ones. But the Digimon also have elemental weaknesses like fire or lightning, and you have to manage that as well. And it reminds me very much of FF10 in the way that it plays, which I say that as like,
baby,
this is a good thing. And I'll tell you a very funny story. So I'm playing this, and I've never played a Digimon game before. And I've got my team, and I had Tankmon on my team. And Tankmon is a tank.
Oh, Tankmon.
He's just a tank. And I had a, what's the nine-tailed fox one called?
Cubimon, probably?
Yes. Yeah. So those were my 2, like, this is what my party is rolling with. And I'm fighting Parrotmon, giant parrot. And listen, you would never accuse Digimon of having particularly original names for what they are. When you see what the name of the thing is, you're like, Tankmon. I know exactly what Tankmon is.
Yeah,
right.
They get weirder as they go on, but yeah.
But again, I'm not a Digimon guy. I watched the Digimon movie. I thought the Digimon movie was great as a kid. I watched like the shows and stuff, but never the games. I'm going to try to change that this year. And I'm fighting Parrotmon, and being someone who actually knows a thing or two about RPGs, which is funny because like people are like, oh, Will hates RPGs. No, Will has played a lot of RPGs. Lucas will attest to like, I know what I'm talking about.
And you know what they say, familiarity breeds contempt.
Yeah, like I don't hate RPGs. I just want them to be better.
Yeah.
And I want the way we talk about them to be better. So I'm playing this game, and I've played a lot of RPGs, and I've realized that Parrotmon is weak to fire. So, Cubimon?
Yeah.
is fire. So fire, 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 fire. Meanwhile, Tankmon has a move called Hyper Cannon, which is kind of like Hyper Beam from Pokemon. And so I'm like, this seems good. So I shoot Tankmon with it. Lots of damage. But then he has to cool down for a turn. So I'm like, oh, sad face. And they're like, you shouldn't be doing that one. And I'm like, why? And it's like, well, it's kind of like not great. You have to wait. And I was like, but I like the big explosion.
Yeah.
And so I keep shooting him with Hyper Cannon. And at some point while you're doing this, you basically get like I can't remember the exact term for it, but you build this meter that basically allows you to boost your whole team. Think X Factor, but for Digimon. And so you do this by having your agent like turn her phone into a gun and then shooting them, which, okay, sure.
Seems a little extreme, but you know, all right. What the hell, it's
sure,
a party.
We live in the world where Persona 3 is a thing, so sure. And so I buff everybody, right? And I'm like, great. Now I can do even more damage. So what do you think the first thing I did was?
Hyper Cannon.
Hyper Cannon with all this damage, and I actually skipped the second phase of the boss fight.
Yes. Will knows what is good. If you see Will in one of these games, whether it's Digimon or Souls or whatever, he wants to take the biggest fuck off weapon he can find and hit you as hard as he can.
Yes. It's one of the great joys in life. And I actually kind of panicked the PR folks because they were like, wait, nobody's ever done this before. Hold up. Like, we wanted you to see the second phase.
Hey, guess what? Maybe Hyper Cannon isn't as bad as you're telling everybody it is. All right?
They were like, please stop using that.
Yeah.
And
please stop using it. It sucks. And also, we didn't balance this around that, which is good. That's good. Developers, please let us break shit. Let us skip phases if we're dope, because that's a great, like, playground moment where they're like, oh my God, I couldn't get past the second phase of this boss fight. And they're like, second phase? There was no second phase. Wait, how did you fight it? I used Hyper Cannon all day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and so the thing was, it jacks up your crit in addition to buffing everything else.
Oh, okay.
And so I crit Paramount for like 2K. And normally I'd been hitting him for like 900. So I just completely skipped the next phase of the fight. And like go into like the next cutscene, and they're like, wait a minute, hold up. And so we actually had to go back and like get back to the fight so they could show me the second phase, because he changes, tactics. And they're like, we wanted you to see the tactics. And I was like, I thought it was cool that I just put him in the third phase without that happening.
Yeah. Hold on. Will's actually cooking over here, guys.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and I really appreciated that. It's crazy. One of the things I really liked about it was everybody's had a very different experience with that game. I read somebody who had previewed it, and if you want to read my whole thoughts on that game, you can head over to shacknews.com and read my preview. But they're like, man, it takes a really long time to kill this Parrotmon guy, and I'm just sitting here like, hey, Hyper Cannon. Like, man, I wish this boss wasn't so tanky, wasn't so spongy. And I'm sitting here having the complete opposite experience, right? And that's how you know that you've actually made a pretty good RPG. Is that, the decisions that you're making lead to drastically different outcomes. A friend of mine was playing FF10 several years ago, and he had built his characters in ways that really defy description. And remember that dragon fight on the airship? You know which one I'm talking about.
On which one?
Big dragon. FF10. Big dragon on the airship.
Oh, yeah.
You get to shoot with missiles. Yeah.
That goes into the distance, then pulls in close.
Yes, yep, exactly.
You got Titus, Waka, and who's your third one? It's another ranged character.
I want to say it's either Lulu or Yuna.
Yeah, I think it's Lulu. Yeah. Anyways.
But he had built his characters in such a way. I've never figured out how he managed to do this. To this day, it confounds me as someone who loves FF10 and has played that game like 5 times. He built his characters in a way that where like Titus was the magic user, and his sphere grid was all kind of messed up.
Yeah.
And so he's like, Will, I can't beat this fight. And I'm like, well, I've beaten the game. Like, I can probably beat this fight for you. And we tried that fight like 6 times. And I was like, and the thing is, if you save before that fight, you can't grind.
Yeah.
You can't get off the airship.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
You literally just can't get off the airship. You have to go fight the dragon. And we did this fight about 6 times, and I came pretty close once, but we got very lucky to get that close. And I was like, dude, like you have 2 options here. We can either do this until we get lucky, or you can restart the game. Because the
They only
first
had
thing
one
we
save?
do, yeah.
Oh my god, rookie mistake. You don't play RPGs like that.
So this is like PS2 era, right? Like
Yeah,
we're
that's
in,
true.
We're
That's
we're
true.
in like middle school.
Blocks are in short supply, you know.
And like he wasn't like a hardcore gamer guy, right?
Yeah.
Like he was just a dude. He liked Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And so we're just sitting here, and I finally had to be like, Brian, like his name was Brian, not you, Brian. And I had to be like, Brian, like we got 2 options here, brother. Like you can restart, or we can bang our head against the wall for what it seems to me like it's going to be 10 hours. And then immediately after this, you have to go grind and level your characters properly.
Yeah.
He restarted the game. I don't think he actually ever
Oh.
finished FF10 because of that.
Oh man,
but-
Oh, man.
heartbreaker.
I know, right? It's a terrible story. But the reason that I tell that story is not to dunk on my friend, who is now Jake's vet, is
Oh, wow.
or was briefly. He's moved his practice a little bit further north, and so now he can't be Jake's vet. But he was for a little bit Jake's vet, and the funny thing about it was like is the story with Digimon, right? Where like how you build your party matters, what you choose to do with your party in the battle matters. You're gonna have a drastically different experience based on what you decide to do. And I think that's part of the core fun of RPGs. And we should, when we talk about RPG systems, we kind of talk about, the characters and the story and blah 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 blah. But like we don't talk about the combat systems in that way. Where like to me, the expression of an RPG, aside from all the choices you make and characters and romance and blah blah blah, is like, what do I do in combat? How do I approach this system? And that allows me to express myself as a player. And I had like a 20-minute demo with Digimon, and in that 20 minutes, I got to express myself as a player in a turn-based RPG.
Yeah.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that led to a very cool post interview. Storytime Stranger is a. Then it sounds like I'm saying like story time and then stranger, where it's Digimon story, time stranger. Time stranger is, if you can't tell from its title, like there's some time travel shenanigans in here. And its story seems like it's going to go some really interesting places. But even if you're not a Digimon person, I think if you really like turn-based RPGs, like it's a game you should pick up because it has the juice as far as
100%.
combat goes, and it feels good to play it, and it rewards you for like being smart and making cool choices. And I really like that. And like I said, I don't have a lot of affinity for Digimon as a franchise, but I came out of it being like, fuck yeah, like this is a game I want to play more of, to the extent that I'm now going to go play Cyber Sleuth.
Not a Digimon person either myself, but Digimon Cyber Sleuth is one of my favorite games ever made. Those people are cooking, and they're finally kind of getting credit for it for realsies, and it's really exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's definitely a game that I think you should check out. It comes out this year, I'm pretty sure. Actually, within a couple months. Yeah, it comes out in a couple months. It's on PlayStation and PC, and maybe also Xbox, I think. I don't know if it's on Switch out of the gate. But it basically is releasing on everything. Cyber Sleuth did eventually release on Switch, right? So like I'm sure it will release on Switch. But
It's $5 on the eShop right now. So
but one of those like really unexpected, like, oh, this is fun. And
Yeah.
I got a unique story out of it, which is what makes it cool, right? So that was SGF. I had a great time. It's great to see your friends and see all the games and just kind of have like the time to really sit with them and think about them and see them in a way that like you don't have to worry about 100 million people being there, and you can take your time with the demo, and you can do an interview, and you can talk to the developers and do all the things that make like this part of the job allow us to do this part of the job as best we can. And I found a lot of cool stuff that I never would have probably tried otherwise, like Ambrosia Sky and Digimon. So I think there's a lot of really great stuff coming out, and what I would tell everybody is obviously like a lot of stuff out of SGF is going to get the juice and the noise and the hype. And believe me when I tell you that I probably popped off to a ridiculous degree when they showed Ninja Gaiden 4 at the showcase. But like the really great stuff, and I think the stuff that's going to stick with a lot of people in the next few years is not going to be the Resident Evil 9s. It's going to be stuff like Pragmata or Digimon or Ambrosia Sky or smaller like to mid-size games that are doing really cool and interesting and unique things. And what I would tell you is if you're watching those showcases and you're getting really hyped for like the big budget like AAA stuff, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like it's cool to be hyped for the next Gears of War. I think Gears of War is fun. But like I would really encourage you to play a more diverse slate of games and really pay attention to the smaller things too, because there's really cool stuff out there and you will not see it unless you look for it and you kind of give it a chance. And like I said, the two best games that I saw were a Digimon game and Ambrosia Sky, small little indie game. So
hell yeah.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, let's
and
get
we're
out of
more
here.
or less on time. Yeah, we're only 10 minutes over. It's not too bad.
Yeah. Not too bad. I do not have the outro memorized yet, so bear with me.
We have a special outro. Hell yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Beyond the Skybox. If you like the show, please leave us a review or tell somebody about it. We love talking to all of you. So come join us. I'm on Blue Sky at Brian Barnett, as well as on Backlogged, the same thing, BrianBarnett. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, and most importantly, Patreon at Skybox Critics, where you should definitely go back us because we are pouring our lives into making this site, making this content, and playing awesome games and telling you all about them. Join us to help this industry. Join us to help make this industry a better place, one day at a time, one piece at a time. We cannot do it without your support. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Lucas, where can everybody find you?
Find me on Blue Sky at Hokuto Lucas and read my stuff on Skybox, like the man just said.
Mm-hmm. Well,
find me also at skyboxcritics.com. I'm cooking up something about the way that we talk about games this week, and I have a piece on, parrying. Is it good or bad? Aftermath did a couple of pieces on this, but I feel like they were both wrong, which is terrible. They were wrong. What was it? Riley was correct for the wrong reasons, and Isaiah was wrong for the right reasons. And somewhere in there lies the truth about the parry. But yeah, find us on skyboxcritics.com, please. We have some excellent stuff coming for you this week.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a review from Brogan Chatton about Doom the Dark Ages, which I think is really cool and touches on some aspects of the design that I haven't heard a lot of other people talk about. And we also have a bunch of stuff coming down the pike, whether that is interviews, long-form features, from everything from stuff on the 3DS to Onimusha. So please support us, and if you can want to talk to me, you can find me on Blue Sky at Edgar Allan Bro. You can also find me wherever fine video game writing exists, whether that's IGN or Shack News or Restart.Run or several other places. And thank you for listening to our podcast.
Yeah. All right. From everybody here at Skybox, we hope you have a wonderful week. Stay safe out there. Until next time, we are out.
Peace.
Goodbye.